Hello, Charlotte, my old friend.
Well, start us off with Hello Charlotte Thomas.
Sure. I don't have an actual intro though. I assume if you're listening to this, you probably listened to the other two, and this game doesn't really need much of an intro. It's Hello Charlotte 3. It's the last of the mainline series. It was made by an Estonian chick, and it's all about universal personas. All right, so let's just hop into everyone's favorite part of the Hello Charlotte series, which is the gameplay. Uh, so as far as core mechanics, how do you guys feel like? I feel like a lot of the way we can frame some of this discussion is talking about the third game in a vacuum and then kind of like comparing it as it like evolved over the course of the three games. So I'm curious how you guys felt about. I guess some of the puzzle design would be a good starting point. The way that
The
it evolved.
the only thing I want to say before isolating the game in that way is, uh, I might be a little bit Stockholm syndromed, maybe, but this game, like pretty much all of the gameplay, felt significantly more palatable than the last two episodes for me.
Yeah, 100% agreed. I felt like there was a really good sense of like where to trim the fat and like get rid of the annoying shit and um actually create puzzles that weren't just like running around pressing Z on shit, although that did happen at least once. But there's like logical like through lines and breadcrumbs and shit that I agree made it much more palatable.
Did
Yeah,
you
and like
guys like legitimately engage with puzzles out of curiosity?
Nope.
Yeah,
I
why
knew you
wouldn't I?
didn't. I knew Sesh wouldn't. And that's actually why I asked the question.
Uh, I definitely did.
I only did slightly because there were not Steam walkthroughs that I could find like for the last two games.
There
So
is
if it
There
was,
one.
was. It was in a different guide.
was there? Oh my
It's
god, I
Yeah,
couldn't
it's
find it.
terribly named. It's called like HC3 Puzzle Guide, and that's what it is.
yeah,
Okay, yeah,
but
that's
the reason why I knew Sesh did not engage with the puzzles, and neither did I, is because I checked his like achievement history, and the way that Ethrain wrote it, she knows. She just knows. She's like, you get this achievement if you did it in one try or you use the guide. That's what the
yeah.
achievement says.
Oh no, that achievement though is just taking screenshots, which I always do for memory game puzzles. So I cheat that the legitimate way
Oh,
of
fair
when it
enough.
was
Oh
because
yeah,
the
I did
other
that
one is
too.
the didn't use Hanukkahpedia once, which is the in-game hint system for the like the escape room part. That's
Wait,
the
what?
one that's like you probably cheated.
Oh yeah, I
Well,
cheated.
I didn't read any Steam guides, and I got that achievement, and I don't know what the fuck the Hanukkahpedia is.
That's a like probably the worst thing about like the gameplay design is that she puts a bunch of fucking items in your inventory that you never interact with because it's so far away from gameplay.
But I mean, in any case, I will agree with one of the original points you were making, Thomas, which is that there are like logical through lines for pretty much everything. Um, I think the only puzzle that I just if you can even call it a puzzle, I really didn't like the quote unquote stealth section where you have to like kind of just guess whether or not they're still in the room or not. I didn't like that very much, but everything else, yeah, I just felt like it was a noticeable step up. And even though I'm saying it like that, it still to me just kind of feels like the like a point and click adventure, which I still don't love, but it's at least better than the other games. But I'll if you do just want to look at it like isolated, I'll try to stop comparing it to the last two.
No, I think comparing it to the last two is important because I think like a core, like a critical thing that I'm not going to talk about that much, if at all, is just kind of watching the artistic evolution of the game was like literally my favorite part. Just like how everything evolved over time in like every avenue. Like we'll talk about it later, but like even the music in this game was fucking sweet. And I know Other didn't make that, but regardless. So I
She
think
not?
no, she has
Did she
one
make it?
Twitter. She has one Twitter. She follows one person on Twitter, I believe, and it's the composer that makes her music.
Was it the same composer for all three games?
I'm not. That's a good point. I guess I actually don't know. I could just be talking out of my ass. I'm not sure.
The first two games have like 2 tracks.
I guess it's still not really something to like complain about, though. I'm not saying we are complaining about it, but like I don't see the fact that if she just got someone to do their music is a bad thing. Like if she did that and the music in this episode was a banger, hell yeah, love that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a bad thing. She charged money this time around, so there's got to be some like standard.
True.
There's one very specific thing I have to complain about. It does have to do with the movement, since you've written movement slash puzzle design here. So, at the beginning of the game, I was actually really happy when I saw that the move speed was fast and I didn't have to hold sprint. And then, like at a certain point, when a certain pivotal event happens, then your movement speed
It
comes
just
goes
slows
back
down.
to
Yeah,
it goes back to the original old speed. And I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding
yeah.
me!
I still wouldn't have known there was a sprint button if you guys hadn't mentioned it last time, and getting through that part, if I didn't know there was a sprint button, would not have been fun.
The early game sprint button is fucking insanity. Like it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
actually too much. Like the
To be
first time in
fair,
a game where I moved too fast.
yeah, but to be fair, there was only one instance of like you accidentally walking into like a dialogue trigger, so that was an improvement.
Yeah,
Although,
big time.
yeah, um, I think the conventional solution is to make it so that when you have a character touch a trigger box like that, where it's like the player can't expect it because it's invisible, you kind of just wrest control away from the player,
Yeah.
just disable their inputs, and have the
Yeah.
character like automatically walk forward a little bit and then start the dialogue.
Yeah, like literally just at the top of the like dialogue instantiation script or whatever, just like turn whatever flag state controls the sprint,
Yeah,
just turn it off.
Yeah, I think the only part of the gameplay I liked was like the follow the color puzzle, and I mean it's like basically just like a maze with one extra level to it. Other than that, I thought like all the gameplay was pretty bland, better than the previous episodes, but still like nowhere near fun.
Yeah, like that's kind of where I'm at, where like nothing is standing out to me as like fucking goaded, like Oberdin, fucking Babazu puzzle design, but it's just not grating to play, and that
Yeah.
was important for me for this episode.
Yeah, like I actually enjoyed interacting with some of the puzzles, like floor three? Is it floor three? Is that the first one you go to? With the people that sing about the prism? Um I liked that whole floor because I actually liked going around like talking to people. It wasn't even so much the puzzle as it was just interfacing with the world around the puzzle because it was cool.
yeah. There's also that environment too, where and you were talking about like the artistic evolution of these games. That's like the first area where I was like, yeah, this is like I don't know if earthbound is the right word, but it was something like that she wasn't doing in the previous two episodes, and then she kept building on that.
Yeah, and kind of related to that, I wanted to comment on the incredibly smart decision to just completely get rid of the combat system. And for the first like third or so of this game, I thought it was just going to be like what I had wanted it to be the entire time, which is just like a nice little visual novel experience. So I fucking love the first third of this game for sure.
There is a dialogue at some point that talks shit about the combat system in the second game. I wish I could remember exactly what it's off the top
Oh
of my
yeah, yeah,
head,
yeah.
but
I
it was
remember
pretty
that.
funny. I mean, there's a lot of like self owns, like, like clearly as she was making the game, she was like, "Yeah, there's like some stuff that I probably could have done better," and she just talks shit about it in her own game. Good stuff.
I think it's funny that Seth said he liked the first third of the game, and I actually hated the first third of this game more than anything else in the entire series. Probably more
Fun.
narratively, but yeah.
We'll get into it in narrative
Is
then.
that
I'll be
because?
curious.
Well, I guess that's part of the narrative, so
Yeah.
never mind.
I'll
I
be
just wanted to
curious of
point
it
it
at
out
that point
since
because I feel like I'm the opposite in that sense. So we'll find
Oh
out.
yeah,
yeah.
me too. I will say, I've not had enough time to really let the story of this game like simmer. Like I beat the game at work at like 5 hours ago. And I think that this game has a very complex narrative. I've wrapped my head around all of like the main beats, um, but this is a game I wish I had finished like 4 or 5 days ago, so I could have thought about it more.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, one thing that pissed me off, and tell me if I'm just stupid, but I swear to God, the entire like last act of the game, as you're controlling Scarlet, you can't save, right? Like you can only get to the various like checkpoints that they give you. You can't actually open the menu and save, can you? Maybe I just tried at like random like
There
fucking
was
times.
definitely a section where you couldn't save. I don't remember like how long it was, but I think like they gave a very brief like narrative reason for why you couldn't save. I can't remember, but I think that it was there.
For not being able to save when I wanted to save. So yeah, there might have been like a certain spot that I didn't try to save during it. If so,
Yeah, I tried to save a shit ton, like literally in the last hour, hour and a half of the game, and I swear every time I pressed the button, just nothing happened. I was like, well, all right.
Oh yeah, that is a thing for me where like I was saving the most in this game, despite feeling like I needed to the least because of the last two games.
yeah,
Yeah, agreed.
Like there were a bunch of times where it felt like there were going to be fail states, and I was going to be thinking like, "Oh man, I really wish I had saved," but then it doesn't kill you, and I was like,
Yeah, were
"Great,
there
awesome."
is there
even
even any? Yeah, I was about to ask that too.
I mean, the main one that I can think of because I kept fucking it up was the like when you're stealthing, and if you come out at the wrong times, then they'll kill you. I think there's a couple more, but yeah, there's not a lot.
Am I
Oh yeah,
stupid? What stealth section are you talking about?
it's when you're trying to get away from the fuckers, and like if you're in the pile of bodies, and if it's just like it's really hard to lose there because if you try to leave early, it's like, are you sure you want to leave? And then if you say yeah, then you lose.
Oh, I guess I just like randomly like one shot luck sacked that because the game was like it may be a good idea to wait. So I was like, okay, I'll
Yeah,
wait. I
exactly.
waited. I waited one time, and then I popped out the second time, and I have no idea what you're even talking
Yeah,
about.
I mean it's pretty railroaded. You kind of have to choose to fuck it up.
And I did, and I got hard stuck.
Wait, when you say, what do you mean you get hard stuck?
I had to look up a video to see what I was fucking up because every time, because like when to get out of the like flesh pile isn't the only time you can die. You can also die when you go into the room with the two doors to the basement or outside. They can catch you there too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't either.
I don't think I saw a single bad end. I just didn't know that there were any. Although, no, that's not true because when I was reading the guide for the puzzles, I saw that if you failed the puzzles, you die, and I assume there's a bad end waiting for you.
Yeah, that was one of the bad endings at least.
Yeah, I never saw a single one.
Is it like the escape room behind the door? Is there like one there? Like the thing that's waiting behind the door, or not?
You talking about where you have to
I'm not
mix the
sure.
bomb?
Yes. Because you have to like blow the door up and kill whatever's behind the door when it comes through.
I don't remember killing anything. I just remember setting the bomb and getting in the little cupboard thing and
Yeah, because you're hiding
does
from the
it.
beast.
Oh,
But I don't know if you can lose there or not, or if that's just the reason why you have to blow the door up.
I thought I was hiding from a bomb blast.
I thought you were hiding from a beast.
I don't know. I just assume I was blowing up a bomb, and typically you don't want to like be close to those, you know? Just as like a matter of course. I don't remember anything about a beast, but
I remember that there was like weird breathing shit, and you had to, yeah, I don't know. I might have made it up. The silence from Seth and Ben makes me feel like they don't know either.
No, I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
I did what a video told me to do, and that was it.
that that section was my least favorite of the game, the escape room part.
Oh
God,
yeah,
there's so many annoying sections of that.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I just did
Yeah,
a guide for the whole thing, so I guess I mean even with the guide, I wouldn't describe it as fun. So
I mean, I don't know why the hell you would have needed a guide for this game. There's like nothing difficult or hard, but regardless,
I didn't even try to engage with any critical thinking. I just wanted to just get through it, so
yeah.
that's why I did
Like
it.
like that's the problem with the puzzles in all of these games is they're just so it's like a point and click game. It's just so non thought provoking that I just don't even want to engage with it.
exactly.
I don't know. I felt like at no point did I feel really railroaded by a puzzle, or not railroaded, roadblocked, because they're all just kind of pretty paint by numbers.
I mean, I think that if I did actually do the puzzles, I'd feel the same way, but I didn't even give them a chance, I guess is what I'm saying.
For me, it was in like the floor where you had to like find shit or whatever. There was something like in the gallery or something that you needed to do, and like I forgot to use an item in my inventory or something, and I was like, yeah, fuck this game. I lost my patience for trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know. The only puzzle to me that was just annoying was the one in the last escape room where you just have to combine all the ingredients to make
That
the
was so
bomb.
stupid.
God, just like,
So
okay,
stupid.
is this gonna work? Nope. Okay, is this gonna work? Nope. Okay, is this gonna work? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the next one.
I feel
Yeah,
like if it
the
was the first game and it was that puzzle, you would have failed every time you do the wrong fucking combination. You
Oh
would have
yeah,
to
it would just
reload.
been a bad end for each one.
I would have fucking preferred that because at least then I would have actually like figured out how the puzzle was
Yeah,
supposed to work.
exactly. Instead of just trial and error with no consequence.
Yeah, I would say as far as like gameplay goes for all three of these games, its pitfalls are definitely in like massive fucking levels of tedium where so much of the game and the way that you are actually interacting with it as a game is just like running around pressing Z on as much shit as you possibly can until something works. And that is not fun.
Yeah, it is possible that I had a higher opinion of the first third or so of this game than everything else because yeah, the gameplay is just it only
Not
detracts
there.
from the overall experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even that it's not there. Like if it just wasn't there,
No,
that would be
that's why you
better.
like the first
Right?
third.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying.
Okay,
That's why
yeah,
you
yeah,
like the
yeah,
first third because it's not
yeah,
there.
yeah.
I will say
I,
though, I'm still glad that like the puzzles did like evolve in terms of complexity. Like there's some new shit going on. It was definitely better than it was the first time, and the second time it's still not exactly what I would have called like good, but it was definitely better.
yeah. I mean, I liked the colored round puzzle thing. I thought that was kind of like
Yeah,
a cooler
for
way to do a
sure.
maze.
I also felt like in general there was just more communication to you, the player, what is expected of you. Like when you're doing the escape room stuff and you can talk to Felix, or like just in general, just felt like everything was kind of spelled out for you, which is not a bad thing given the kind of game that this is trying to be. It would be a bad thing in a game that's trying to be a puzzle game.
Yeah, like for all the shit that I was talking about the puzzles, like I could tell just from looking at them at face value that like it's something that you can figure out if you want to. I just didn't.
Yeah, like the only reason I told you to just play with a guide for the first game is because they were so obtuse and stupid.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because like yeah, that's definitely a contrast. The first game, there was no way I would have done it without a guide. It just would not have happened.
Well, what else you guys got?
I feel like gameplay wise, that's about it. There's not much gameplay to speak of.
I don't know where to bring it up, but I think if all three games were combined into one, it'd be a lot better game.
I can see that.
I don't agree, but it's for
It would
specific
it
reasons.
would
It may be
definitely
a
have to be
better.
re-engineered though, because like the third one does some fucky stuff with like the new, I don't know if you call it New Game Plus, where like
Yeah.
I think that, no, now that I think about it, I take it back. I think they do have to be three separate games. There's because I don't know, one is quite a bit like I would say that two and three are a little bit more similar,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
one is it feels like a not necessarily a different game, but like it's like a different vibe.
It
Oh
feels
yeah,
like a fever dream.
one felt like it was never really like meant to like turn into what it did, so it's just kind of its own like weird little fever dream, like Seth said. But like I said, like I don't know. Like I said, I really like watching the evolution of how the things changed over the years as it got worked on, and I think you would have lost a lot of that if it were like one big game. It may have worked better as a game, like as a literal like I press buttons on my controller game, but I think everything else that I like about it anyway would have suffered.
And narrative, because yeah, I think it's probably more narrative suited.
You just want to move into art audio UI? I don't have much else here.
Yeah, I got nothing else.
Same. Music of this game's a fucking banger-ranger, dude. What the hell? Fucking
Yeah,
most improved
actually,
player award.
Yeah, I actually paid attention this time, and I even like recorded some of the tracks. Well, when I say record, I did like this, what is it, like Window G button or whatever, and I just like got some loops just so that I could listen to them later.
Yeah, like I found myself actually because like I played these games with the volume turned down a bit through Windows, I might add, instead of in the game. But I actually found myself turning it up for some of the songs, like the one that plays during the like white society murder torture scenes. I fucking love the song that plays during those scenes.
There, there was one track that I recorded. Well, there was two. Well, there's one that I want to bring up. There's like that elevator music jingle, which I think is like it must be like commercial free music because I've heard that elevator jingle like so many times.
Yeah.
But there was this other one that was reused from the first two games, and it sounds like the first 3 seconds of like an Emancipator song. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but it's like, fuck. I'd have to look at my recordings because I recorded it because I was like, I hear it this time. I'm going to record it this time. So after this, I'll find it. But it's like, I swear to God, if I just like booted up like an Emancipator song, it's yeah.
I think you should do that. Later, link it to us, like a
I mean, I
40 seconds, and
know.
then like as an emancipator intro, and
I
then be
mean, I
like,
know
look, they fucking stole
Emancipator.
it.
I just have trouble placing the actual song that you're talking
Yeah,
about.
but if I fetch it for you, you'll be like, yeah, I get it. But I have to get it. It's like I took so many screenshots this time around because I didn't play it in the massage chair, so I took screenshots for a lot of different reasons. Number one thing was to like record like narrative beats that I definitely would have forgotten, and unfortunately I forgot anyway. But at least I have them recorded, so so I can at least reference them.
Yeah, my favorite track is the loop that plays in the fucking school. That thing's a banger.
Oh, I forget how that one goes, but I remember it being good.
I remember like the first time that you walked to school on the first day, like some shit that you did so many times in the second game, and then like just zoning into it in this game and just being like, "Oh shit." And then just like sitting there listening to it because I was like not expecting the music to be as fucking sick as it was.
I feel like in general the sound design too was a little bit better, like not just the music, but like some of the voice, quote unquote voice acting, and like environmental sounds, I guess you would describe them as, were much less grating. Again, much less grating than the other games. Still not great, still not amazing, but better than the other games. So I'm Stockholm Syndrome.
So what was better than other games?
Like in general, the sound design, like
Oh,
just how like voice acting, for example, sounds.
I think the mixing was as worst as it's ever been
Like with what?
because you can't change the levels of anything. Like some of the sound effects were still just so loud that I think I missed out on some of the songs that you guys said because of how low I had to turn it down, so I didn't get my ears blown out by stupid shit. Which is a problem that was in all three games.
One thing that was annoying in this game that was unique to this game specifically was with like the little banjo kazooie sounds. Like a lot of the way that I read through dialogue was by pressing shift because it would just like immediately bring up all the text so I could just read faster. And when you do that, it just kind of like lump sums all of the
Yup.
banjo kazooie sounds at you. And when you're talking to like fucking um like Charles in the Dream World at the end or whatever, who has like these fucking super echoey, cymbally sounding banjo kazooie sounds. It's just like it just dumps, and it's very unpleasant when you're reading very quickly because
Yeah,
it's just like rapid fire.
yeah. I felt the same way with that because there were some of those that I like appreciated just for what they were going for, but then the exact same experience for me where like something that sounds good by itself does not sound good when it just becomes one unanimous scream.
I think that's like just kind of general QOL stuff that like this game like severely lacks. Just kind of like yeah, like those kind of use cases of just like you got to figure something out because it's like an actively bad experience when you experience it. Also, though, the one that Ben posted, the song that Ben posted, like the bottom left one of like the Scarlet Isler one, I didn't like that one because it reminded me of like the Ben drowned fucking Majora's Mask ROM hack. But that's nothing like a slight against this game. It just I correlated that in my head and I was like, this is stupid.
See, I
That's
have
funny.
kind of the opposite experience with that because it kind of reminds me of the song that plays when you get to the Sun Station in Outer Wilds, and it's
Oh,
all
that's funny.
it's all probably united under the same thing, which is that it's music played backwards.
Yeah. The only notable song I can't even tell you how it goes. I can tell you that I noted down that the song was sick. It was close to when Charlotte Corrs did the R word. I don't know what song it is or anything, but that's when I was like, oh, the music's cool. But I think I had the volume down too much because of the bad mixing.
I just played the lower left one. That is the Emancipator 3 second loop that I was talking about.
Oh, that's funny.
I can hear it.
It's the
Oh,
Emancipator song that I'm talking about. It's called First Snow. It's the intro, and if you hear it, you'll be like, okay.
there's also that song that plays when you go in Dr. Huxley's lab. Is that the bottom right one? I don't think it
I
is.
Like
don't
in the
think
house,
so.
you mean?
Yeah, when you go down into the basement, like early on in the game, and there's the like clones of Felix.
I think
Oh,
what
yeah. That's not where you're describing it, but I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
one of the
I
bottom
wasn't
right
sure.
events, like the ninth floor.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if it was the same song or not. I think the one I'm thinking of is different. Yeah, no, music was definitely better than the other games, no question. In fact, I won't even say it's better than the other games. I would say the soundtrack of this game is just good.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I
Like
agree.
the soundtrack of this game is just legit good. But I'm also a person who liked the soundtrack of the first game, so take that how you will.
Well, I agree in the sense that like I feel like this game just took some of the ideas that Episode One was doing and just refined a lot of them, and then also added a lot of bangers on top of that.
Well, I mean, the first game too is a lot of like kind of scratchy, noisy, like unpleasant shit that if you don't like listening to noise, you won't like. But th- that doesn't describe me, so I actually enjoyed the music of the first game quite a bit.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think this one has a lot of that too, like that top right one that Ben posted.
Well, I'm just saying I feel like it's just a totally different like genre of music.
Yeah.
But yeah, the top right one is definitely more like that. But also, I feel like top right is still more like melodic than anything in the first game.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
true.
the problem with the first game is that I don't know if I liked or disliked it because at that time I wasn't really paying attention to the music, which is my own fault. So it's possible that I would have liked it. I just didn't really pay too much attention to it.
Oh, we probably need to talk about the art. This game easily had the best art out of all three.
Yeah,
Consistent ramping up.
yeah. One thing that I really liked about it is how, well, for one thing, that there was like a not necessarily a protagonist switch up, but when you changed like your point of view, like who you were playing, the environment changed to like fit how they would see the world. And I like that a lot. So like how Charlotte, when you start out with her, she's got like that like a kind of like penciled like sketchbook look. And then when it was Bennett, it was like watercolor. And when you were
Mhm.
Scarlet, it went kind of back to like a kind of strict pixel art. I like that a lot. Kind of just to differentiate them.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Wasn't that like in universe too? Wasn't there like
Yeah.
Yeah,
a soft explanation for it? Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the gallery edition was fucking awesome too.
I actually hated it because you could only navigate through it using Q and E on the keyboard, and I played on
Oh
controller.
well, yeah,
You could not go to the next page in the gallery
yeah.
What
unless you
the
had a
fuck?
keyboard.
I mean, I like that the gallery existed,
Yeah,
but I mean,
yeah,
like it came with everything. The QL struggles.
yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. This might be a cringe take, but I actually think I liked a lot of the art in the second game more. Like pound for pound, I think I liked the second game more. The third game had like more, and it was still very good. But yeah, pound for pound, second game has some fucking kooky, cool ass shit.
That's definitely possible. I just feel like that, like since her style is already really good, that just having so much of it in this game was very, very
Yeah.
nice because it just meant that like the characters could be way more expressive. Like I don't know why this always stood out to me, but like when you get to the first White Society scenes and it's just like a couple different frames bouncing back and forth between like like Charlotte's face or whatever. It's literally just 2 frames, but it adds so much bounciness to it, and I wouldn't have expected that in the other episodes. And then also, I thought it was kind of funny because you talk with her 3 friends at the start of the game, and then when you get to the White Society scene, you like kill one of them. And I just thought it was funny because it's like, yeah, you're killing girl B, and she just has a face in this scene now. And I was like, she didn't need to, or this didn't need to be done for the game, but I'm glad that it was.
There
Yeah.
is something I want to revisit from the past few episodes. It was, I think, from the first episode actually, where Thomas, you asked a question about like, was this did this art unnerve you? And in the first few games, it didn't even come close. But in this one, there was one part where I finally was like disturbed, and I think the reason why is because only a small portion of it was like fucked up, and the rest was like just conventional anatomy. And that was this one that I just pasted right here. This is the first time that I was ever unnerved by the art in this game,
Oh
so I have
yeah.
to give it credit.
But to be fair, that's also just like probably the most unnerving scene in the whole fucking game.
Yeah, I actually like this light. I like the background. Like this whole
Oh yeah.
composition is awesome. But I did
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
to just point this out specifically because I like fucking meat grinder face. That it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's when when I looked at this one, I was like, yeah, I finally get it. This is gross as shit.
Yeah. This game got like a lot of points for me just in general because it fucking ratcheted the horror up like big time. And I appreciated that. It was like fucking pretty no holds barred. Uh I mean, with all the execution shit and everything else, yeah. So it
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me that there's some unnerving shit.
Yeah, like I didn't expect the extent that was gone to on some of the scenes, like actually showing, like especially with the first girl that gets torture murdered, and then like less so with the second one, but it's still there. And then also the scene where Charlotte gets like knocked out and basically drugged. I thought was like, oh my god, I can't believe you included this, but I'm glad that you did.
Yeah, as usual for these games, no notes on the art. That's fucking great, but this time it had
Mhm.
the added benefit of the music actually being fucking sweet.
She experimented a little bit more in the art actually. There's some
Oh,
things
for
I wrote
sure.
down. She added like these commercials that were like vapor wavy and reminded me. I don't know how many people played Metal Gear Solid 4, but like when you're installing the game, they play a bunch of like in-universe commercials that it reminded me a lot of the commercials in this game. They served like a very similar purpose, kind of like to. It was like a little bit of world building and just show like how fucked up things are. But in that, like, I don't think she did too much vaporwave, if at all, in the first two games. And this one is the first time I noticed it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't remember it at all in the first two games, but yeah, she had the fucking deep fried meme shit going on. Yeah, you're right though. I
Oh
did
yeah.
like that too.
Yeah, I felt like the I don't know if the other two games were like this, but I felt like the colors just really popped out a lot more in this game for me, which is intentional and good, I think.
Yeah, I think there was definitely like a way more like commanding use of color palette going on. And that's like one of the most obvious things in the fucking planet if you look at the game's like evolution. Like the fucking 95% of the first game is just black and white.
Yeah.
Uh
Just very, very good color theory shit in this game, without a doubt.
Yeah, by this game, like the word that kept popping into my head while I was playing this game was confidence. I felt like this game was made with way more confidence than the other two. Like settled into what she was trying to say and like knew what she wanted the end product to look like.
Yeah, I agree. Uh, yeah, I can't disagree with its confidence. I still feel like it's just the absolute abundance of what was already in the game facilitated the confidence, I guess.
What do you mean?
Like, it's kind of like you were saying earlier. I feel like individually, like tit for tat, the panels may not have been better from the previous two games, or they're at least equal. But just because there's so much of it, it's it just comes off as better because yeah, you're not afraid to show what you're thinking and bring to life the characters that you're trying to articulate and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
And I felt like there were very small parts where she pushed it, like she pushed the boundaries of what she did in the other two games. Like in that screenshot you posted where Charlotte like kind of eviscerates Scarlet with like the appendages. And then after this full art scene, it goes back into like the RPG Maker environment, and she actually like had sprite work for her getting impaled, like using the regular RPG character art, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it earlier, but there's also, especially in the first third, which again I think this is intentional, but the first third has such prolific use of that kind of crayon art style. Like you can see
Hmm.
it in that first White Society picture. The girl on the right has that kind of style, and a lot of the school environment had that. I really like that art style. I mentioned it for Amori briefly last episode when we talked about it, and I think when you use it to effect, it's really, really good.
Yeah, like so many of the like parallax environments use that style, and I felt like it was like to super good effect, like especially in the house in particular. Like there's so many moments that, because like you spend so much time in this house over the course of the three games, right? And for it to go from the like monochrome squares of the first game to like the fully fleshed out crayon style of the third game's pretty fucking sweet.
It's all good stuff. I believe that I personally have gushed enough about the art now.
Same.
Personally, what?
Have gushed enough about the art now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just gonna devolve into me posting screenshots because I'm just looking at the fucking unpacked data file for the game and just scrolling through all of them.
Yeah, I think this game definitely has more art, and I think it has like more polished art overall. I think the second game just has like a couple really like standout like monstrosity drawings that this game doesn't really have, and that's why I think Tom thinks that the second one's better.
I think the second game just has higher peaks, I think.
If
Is how I would
yeah,
describe it.
Exactly.
if we're still like talking about like comparisons with the older games, I don't like I don't think anything tops the first game for me, specifically the one scene near the end with the Oracle. Like I don't think anything in any of the three games has topped that for me personally. Not that,
In terms of just art.
or like just yeah, like the composition, like everything about it, like in the like
Yeah,
the way it was like
Yeah.
animated, like using the RPG Maker engine, and yeah, exactly that part where like everything starts fading out and breaking down.
Mhm.
Like that part will always be super memorable for me. Whereas, I mean, I guess there's like a lot of memorable stuff in the more so in episode three, but like I felt like I don't know this the first game that one moment was like if I had to pick my favorite moment out of all three games, that's the one.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I really love that part too.
It's definitely like the best finale, like the high point of like any of the games
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm still just gonna stand by preferring Episode Three's art just because I really feel like it facilitates the like character development and expression to the characters. And again, I think that's really important in a game like this, even if objectively some of the other pieces of art might be better. Not objective.
Yep.
yeah. Because if we're talking about
And
yeah, because like if we're talking about fidelity, I don't think. I mean, I think everything in episode three looks better than the art in this screenshot. The one that I said is my favorite.
No,
Mhm.
no, I don't necessarily mean fidelity. I just mean that I feel like Episode Three's art had the most expressiveness that it showed from the characters, and I felt like that was
Oh
important.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
no, yeah, I mean I agree, and I wouldn't fault you for saying any of the three games had your favorite art. I think they all have different strengths, but if that is like the metric that you're judging it by, you are like 100% correct. So, but all three games look fucking amazing. IMO.
I feel like I do still need to bring up the. I said it like the exact same way last episode. It is still a travesty that there's no UI anything at all.
Oh yeah. Not being able to resize the window. It's all the same shit. Like literally nothing different.
Yeah, there's nothing new to say, but the longer that goes on, the worse it
It's
gets.
still terrible.
There's a reason I asked the third question or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, I just want to briefly mention it. We don't have to linger.
Well, I got nothing else in Art Audio UI.
It's time for narrative. Then.
I'm good.
Ready for narrative?
Oh yeah. So I think if you I spent a little bit of time today. Like I said, I didn't have much time to really like prepare anything for this, but I spent some amount of time sort of collating the general like opinion of this game, like from the fandom or whatever. And it surprised the fuck out of me that apparently the third game's narrative was very divisive. Like a lot of people just straight up hated it, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Because I felt like the narrative of this game was like such a fucking leap and bound forward from the second game, which I kind of thought was a little messy. Good prose wrapped up in a little bit of nonsense. Whereas this game, I felt like was way more cohesive and like easier to follow and written with more purpose and once again the c word confidence. So I was really like surprised to learn that apparently just people like shit all over this thing for its narrative. Well, that's coming off strong, but yeah, it was divisive.
Yeah, that's surprising me too.
Like it makes sense to me. Like if you're the kind of person that would describe yourself as a Hello Charlotte fan after the first two episodes, then the narrative of episode 3 kind of flips everything on its head.
Yeah, the
And
whole
so like
fucking Aaron theory. Yeah, for
yeah, and
sure.
now we're in the opposite camp where we didn't like the first two episodes,
Mm,
but I assume most of you guys like this one more, at least narratively. So we liked it more.
okay, that
I
makes
did just
sense.
because there was actual cohesion and there was something that the story felt like it was working towards.
Say that again.
I liked it more. I liked the third game more than the first two because this game actually felt like there was something that was working towards, and it wasn't just like random thoughts that were put together to showcase schizophrenia, which is what the first game felt like. The second game just felt like a bridge to get to this game.
Yeah, like I felt like outside of the kind of first act of this game, there like everything was always building towards something. Like there was always kind of
Yeah,
a goal in mind at all points. And even then in the first act I was okay with there not being a goal because like it's just introducing you to this scenario, like what's going on with
yeah.
Charlotte, the fact that she's not a good person, what's going on, like the confusion of that I thought was fine. But yeah, I like that. I don't want to say it was a traditional structure to a story, but there it felt like there was something to anchor you with through most of the game.
Yeah, for sure. I would say it is absolutely fair to say it's not like a standard structure. I think some of that is probably the fact that it just wasn't really planned out ahead of time, in my opinion. Uh, like you say, the second game was a bridge to this one. In my opinion, I felt like there was like, to me, it felt like there was a lot of like circumnavigation because she kind of wrote herself into a bit of a hole with the way the second game ends, and I felt like there was a lot of like having to tidy some of that up in the third game. And then the first game, I mean, the first game is just a fucking manic fever dream. I think she just wanted to draw a bunch of fucking cool shit
Yeah.
and put some words on top of it. But yeah, I forget where I was going with all of this, but
Because like the second game doesn't resolve at all. It's been like fucking Umbrella Man shows up and he's like, "Yo, what do you think of Charlotte?" And then like it just fucking ends. Like there's no like resolution. The first game has a resolution, and this game has a resolution. That's why I think the second game is like a bridge.
I think it has a resolution. It's just not a nice one. Like I feel like all three games kind of stand on their own, like as a story, but the third one has the benefit of kind of like backsplaining the other two games and like filling in some gaps here and there. But like as stories, I feel like it's definitely not a traditional structure by any stretch of the imagination, but there is like a like point A to point B where B is the end like story.
Do you guys feel like if after playing episode 3 you played 1 and 2 again, you would enjoy those narratives more? Or like if you hadn't played 1 and 2 and you went back and you played them for the first time?
Two maybe, one probably not.
Yeah, I feel that way too. I think.
I would like three more if I didn't play one and two.
Why do you say that?
I would agree with that. Yeah, actually.
I want to
Because
hear
I
about
think 3
this.
has like an actual like I think what the first two games are lacking is like to me like a definitive like purpose for like why everything's happening besides just like just kind of like a trying to explain like society's bad, which is what like the second game felt like, and really like the first game a little bit. But the first game felt like a perspective of this is what it's like to be a schizophrenic, and the second game just kind of felt like it was like a commentary on things. This game actually felt like it was a story with like a resolution and like purpose.
I mean, the first two games definitely have purpose. It's just like there's so much abstraction and allegory behind it that unless you were really like trying to like reach really deeply in, it's hard to extract some of that narrative. Um, like the second game, I feel like is like a fucking indictment against religion. I don't think it has really much of anything to do with anything other than that, to be honest with you. And the first game, I mean, I don't even know. Again, like layers of abstraction. I don't even know if there was really meant to be any kind of like cohesive actual narrative in that thing outside of what is told in the Tale of the Ink Princess. But yeah, this game was definitely much more like on rails in terms of like it still has a lot of really rich like allegory and metaphor in it, like a fucking fuck ton,
Hmm.
but it dials it back a lot more. Well, I won't even say it dials it back. I think it just doesn't obscure as much in front of it.
I think it has all of that, plus it has like like an actual like typical structure that you would expect to see in a story, which is why I like this one more than the other two.
Would you say it's like the most character focused out of the three?
I think the first one is the most character focused, in that it's all like about Charlotte, and the second one I think is even probably more character focused than this
Yeah,
one.
I was gonna say the second game I felt like was more character focused.
I don't think that it's necessarily character focused. I think it's just because I for me it's because it feels like we're working towards something. The first game felt like it was just kind of falling through a house, and then eventually you got to an endpoint. And then the second game just kind of felt unfulfilling in the character relationships. This game had like a cool amount of like mystery for me from like that transition from like episode 0 to 3 and like intrigue that the other two games didn't get for me even a little bit.
I feel like for me, the second episode feels the most character focused, but the only reason I feel that way is because there's nothing else going on in that episode.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
character relationships.
How do you guys feel about the multiple endings? Because this might sound weird, but I think I enjoyed episode three more because I got the one ending, and I couldn't, and
Exactly.
because I had saved in that final room with the credits basically in the afterward, I couldn't go back and get the other ending. Whereas in the second game, like I just did all three endings back to back, and then I forgot like which one
Yep.
was like the one I liked the most, or which one is canon or the most important.
I can answer first and just say I still think I'm the same person as Ben when it comes to playing games. Everything Ben just said happened to me, so.
I didn't even know there was more than one ending. My shit said true ending, so I never went back and checked.
That's funny. Yeah, I was talking to Ben about it because it's when you could just you choose to destroy the TV or not. There's a different ending there.
What's the one if you don't destroy it?
Oh no, didn't
I
see
didn't
it.
look it up.
But it's in the achievements it's described as the happy ending versus the true ending.
I mean,
I
that
feel like
makes sense.
to answer the question, like if you're gonna put multiple endings in your game like that are like meant to be right at the ending, unlike some of the endings for Automata, for example, I guess you better make it really easy to rewind to that choice to be able to see both endings, so I don't have to look up a YouTube video. Like the way that Expedition 33 and the way that Automata did it are perfect, and yeah, I don't know. In terms of like isolating alternate endings, if you have to do a shitload of work to do it, then I tend to find it just annoying unless it's adding a lot of gameplay.
To build off of what you said, I agree that Nier and Expedition 33 did it really well, and I don't know why the second game for this game didn't do it well because it's basically the same thing, but like Ben said, they all blend together in my head, and I can't really remember like the other ones that happened. for the question specifically, I don't like multiple endings typically, and if so, I like them to be dramatically different. Like how Undertale has like different runs, and you need to basically treat the whole run differently to get to the end. I usually don't just like a decision at the end changes the end scene.
I prefer it that way because I don't like playing games more than once. So I don't want to have to fucking slog through everything just to see a different cutscene that I can just spend 15 minutes watching on YouTube.
Like, yeah, like I'm okay with it if it feels like a completely different game, almost like Genocide versus Pacifist run in Undertale.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
so it's
if it's not that, then it better be like Automata or Expedition 33, where you can just rewind and see the other option.
yeah, so those are like the two extremes, where like both extremes are good and the middle sucks. And I guess to kind of summarize what you guys were saying, like if you want it to be like a not necessarily like monumental effort to see the multiple endings, and the journey needs to be like meaningfully and significantly different, right? Is that
yeah,
Yeah, because then
I agree.
that would also apply to Baldur's Gate 3 in that case, which I would agree with.
Yeah,
yeah,
because I was
Yeah,
like,
that's why.
I was trying to think about like where Wrath of the Righteous, for example, would like fit into this like whole discussion.
I feel like
Because,
that game is just too long that
well,
like that's
I
just a good
mean, okay, outside of its length, like just fucking say like Baldur's Gate 1 or whatever.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. I know what you're saying. It's just that the length kind of disqualifies that game specifically for me. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but I feel like with CRPGs more generally, like I mean, I'm only thinking of Disco Elysium and Baldur's Gate 3. Like with those games, the ending is affected by your choices so much that it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm just missing out on content because I didn't select the other option. It's all just like a culmination of every other thing that you've
Yeah,
done, and the core events are still the same. Like, I don't really want to spoil either of those games, but like, yeah, the core events are going to be the same, and then since everything else is a culmination of your actions, it doesn't feel like I get the negatives that I do otherwise with other games.
yeah, I agree, and I think in you explaining that, I also figured out why I like Expedition 33 and Near is because when it's a choice and then it's good ending, bad ending, that fucking sucks. When it's a choice and then it's like complicated ending one and complicated ending two, that's when it's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Like when there is no right choice, it's when it's good. But when you pick a choice and that's the good one, you pick a choice and that's the bad one, that's when it's bad. That's why like 1,000 X Resist, I think, has that a little bit. Like when you pick like Mauve, but it's like, oh, that felt shitty.
Oh yeah, that's a great counterexample because I was just trying to
Yeah,
think of games that do that, and that's a perfect example of that. Yeah, that's never
yeah,
good.
so one thing about, and this is, there's no real like meat on this thought, but I kind of liked the way that it was framed. But uh, one thing I liked about the course of the three games is how like the narrative scope felt like it was a fucking camera that was like slowly zooming out, where it was like the first game just takes place entirely within the house. The second game is all within the house and the school, and then the third game zooms way the fuck out, and you enter into this like cosmic fucking abyss. And I like that like fucking rapid escalation from each thing that just like I said, it
yeah.
just makes me, it just like it in my mind's eye, it was just like someone with a camera just walking backwards and just pulling the curtains back more and more.
I think that's another reason I really like the narrative of this game is that like there's like a world outside of the world rather than like that's kind of like alluded to in the previous games with like the puppeteers and shit. But then this game is really like, hey, here it is with the true realm.
Yeah, if there's like one compliment that I can give this game, it's that the narrative of this game justifies the existence of the previous two episodes. Even if I still don't really like the previous two episodes as games, I feel like just the fact that they exist in the context of the narrative of this game makes this game better because of that like uh, kind of scope creep that you're describing.
So basically, like you use this game as comparison to those games, and that's why it makes you like this game more because of like how zoomed out this game is.
Like basically it's kind of like reading, it's like the difference between reading a short story and reading a full novel, where like the first two episodes feel like short stories and the third one
Yeah,
feels like a novel, Like, if I were to just
Exactly.
read George R. R. Martin's Dunk and Egg, I haven't read them to be clear, but I am going to enjoy them more if I have the context of the Song of Ice and Fire series, where that might not be true in reverse. And that's how I feel about the first 2 episodes versus the third.
To me, I feel like the narrative of this game, like I feel like the phrase like greater than the sum of its parts has never fit something more perfectly than this series, and I don't think that would have been even remotely close to true without the third game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. So, Seth, do you feel like you liked the first 2 games more if you went back and played them again? I think you asked this question, but I don't think you answered it.
Yeah, I asked you guys. I don't think I would like them more, just because I feel like the annoyances of the gameplay would stand out even more to me on a repeat playthrough, and especially after the stuff that episode 3 did to kind of fix that stuff. But would I enjoy the narrative more? 10,000%. Like a fucking billion%, I would
Mhm.
enjoy the narrative more. Like, I would probably actually pay attention to the narrative of the second game if I played it again.
Yeah, something that I wouldn't expect Ether to do, but I think would be really cool is to remaster this and put it into one game, like how Lisa just did, basically, and then kind of like try to morph it into like one big thing, and to see if there'd be any changes that she would make to like the product, basically, other than polish.
Yeah, that would be cool. I feel like the games are so like
Yep.
episodic that it would be interesting to include some like bridges between the
Yeah.
games as well.
Yeah, you could have
I imagine.
like True Realm cutscenes between each episode or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah, that'd be
only
cool.
issue is that fucking second game with the 3 endings.
Yeah, true.
For the record, I don't think that she will, or I don't even think that she should. I just think that it's a cool thought
Yeah.
experiment because Lisa just did it.
Well, I'm not sure how you could have like interspersed True Realm cutscenes because it would just be like Charles in a fucking coffin 6 feet under or whatever. Oh well, no.
It doesn't.
I guess he's in the ocean.
It doesn't need to be chronological, but I get your point.
So across all 3 games, what was your guys' like favorite story beat for story moment?
Across 3 games, I guess I already mentioned it, but it's the one with the Oracle at the end of the first game.
Yeah, I figured that would be yours.
I think it was for me. It was like coming to the realization of like it was towards the end of like episode 0, near the start of episode 3, where you kind of figure out like what Charles is and like what's going on and everything. I think just kind of like that realization of like, oh shit, here's what's going on was really cool for me.
I feel
Yeah.
like for me, it's either when Scarlet chokes Charlotte and becomes her. That's really hard to say. Scarlet chokes Charlotte. That's really fucking hard to say.
That's a funny one.
Or something in the kind of act 1 of this game, like maybe when your friends turn on you and you have to like that entire sequence somewhere in there.
Yeah, my favorite was definitely Charles wandering out into the ocean. One just pops up the dialogue box at the end of chapter 0 with "This is a story about giving up." I was like, "Oh fuck." Yeah, all good choices. You know what I noticed? No picks from the second game.
The second game. I could just say that I was you mentioned earlier that like it was a very like divisive game like narratively, and I think that's just because the first third of this game is like a real like fuck you to anybody who would like the first 2 games, because it turns the protagonist that you like into just a complete piece of shit psychopath.
Yeah, so wait, Sesh, we needed to talk about that. Is that the reason that you didn't like the first third of this
Yeah.
game?
Oh, for sure. And like you guys are more like horror centric than me, but like yeah, I don't like that she's just fucking killing random people because of social media posts. And like I understand that it's like meant to be like commentary and like that's the whole point and everything. But while it was happening, I was like, this game's fucking awful.
Well, like for me, as I was like reading it and watching it, I was just thinking like, wait, what the fuck happened? Because it's obviously like a huge shift from the previous 2 episodes,
Yeah.
and like this is going to be the act where you want to introduce questions like that to answer later on. And I'm very glad that they did answer those, and they answered them directly. So I liked it at first because it's like, it's like you said, I like the horror, I like the fucked up shit, and it made me intrigued. It had me asking questions.
Yeah, for me, it's just like I knew it wasn't the same Charlotte because every Charlotte in all 3 games is a different version. So I was like, oh, we've got the version of Charlotte who's a fucked up serial killer. Okie dokie.
Also, I don't like the vaporwave commercial things either. I think that's just cringe, so that didn't help.
Those were
I
kinda cringe.
separate it from cringe because the game was made during that era. So
Yeah, that's how I did it too. Like I thought they were endearing. I'm not gonna say that they were like the best things ever, but I liked them. Am I the only one that liked Scarlet more than Charlotte?
No, Scarlet's great.
Okay.
Like the Scarlet of this episode compared to the Charlotte of the last two episodes? Is that what you mean?
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, I guess so.
Scarlet of this game is Charlotte from episode 1, right? So I mean that makes sense.
Wait, is that canon? Like, is that?
The
Yeah.
ending of this game is literally her turning into Charlotte from the first game, like the
Oh,
same dialogue
you're
sequences and
right.
stuff.
Yeah, I just didn't remember that, but I do remember like, yeah, I even took a screenshot of that ending. It was like my favorite part of this game.
No, yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, I
I think she's intentionally framed as like, I mean, you play as her. She is the protagonist, right? But she's very like empathetic. You know, what's like one of the first things she does? She stops Henri from getting murdered, right? Like it's the third of those murders that's about to happen, and she gets to swoop in like a hero. I think you're supposed to like her, and I think it works.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
exactly.
One thing that I would be curious to go back to the second game and look at is her suicide at the school because I could not remember details of that at all, but I'm kind of curious how that scene could be reframed with the knowledge of the third game in tow.
And trying to think about it now, it still feels inconsequential and random.
Yeah, the memory I have of it is that. How did you guys feel about the True Realm scenes, like Charles talking to online friends and shit?
I thought that was sick. Thought it was like probably the most like intriguing part, just because it's kind of like mystery that's like in front of you versus like crazy abstract shit that's going on.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. I thought it was a nice way to ground in between the madness.
Yeah, I would agree. It felt very important to humanizing that character, which is something that it feels like we didn't get at all in episode 2. So it was nice to have in this one.
All right, so this game plays with player complicity in a very similar but profoundly different way than other games that have tread similar ground. How do you feel like it sits alongside them? Let's start with Seth.
Can I steal the start as like
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
just a question back into you guys? What are other games that play with player complicity? Because I
Undertale.
tried to think of that.
Last of
I
Us.
see. Okay, Last of Us is a good one. Undertale, I don't agree that it's the same thing.
I
It's
actually bring
not
up
the
both
same
of
thing.
I bring up both of those as examples in my answer. If you want me to go.
Yeah, go ahead.
So to kind of ground this out a little bit, one thing that stood out to me at the start of the game is that the Charlotte you play felt much more willful and in control of herself compared to the others. I think that's intentional because she is that like fucking psychopath character. And for me, it created a very uncomfortable dynamic. Like I'm in control of the character, but it jumps to her torture, murdering people in a way that, again, intentionally makes you feel very uncomfortable. I think that particular style in the beginning third of the game is quite good. It's similar to forcibly killing the doctor at the end of The Last of Us, but different enough to stand out because like you're still controlling the character when you do it in Last of Us. Like you have to hold the stick forward and it makes him do the action. But in this game, it's a little different because you do the action and then Charlotte responds. So I think it's meaningful enough to like stand out as something unique. But it's also different enough from the Undertale genocide route because the genocide route is opt in. It's something you choose to do, and it's something that most people aren't going to do unless they're a super mega power gamer in a game that wasn't designed for it, except it was designed for it because there's the genocide route. Um, but yeah, I just feel like the like complicity in this game stands out because it's like a weird, interesting in between of those two games that I kind of like.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's kind of why I asked the question because like I there's like so many ways that this game plays with player complicity, but also like in a weirdly different way because of how the like game's structured narratively. So yeah, for sure. What you got, Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like just what Seth said because yeah, I'm trying to think about this question. I was like, I can't think of another game that does like complicity like this game does because Undertale is a choice. Last of Us is a good example because it's not a choice. Um, so that's why I wanted like more examples from you guys so that I could like answer more in real time if you guys had any other ones.
Spec Ops: The Line.
I didn't play that game. I know that game's fucked up in that though. Oh, I guess kind of Drakengard, but I don't think you guys know Drakengard enough.
Drakengard 1?
Yeah, Drakengard 1, where like it kind of plays on like the mass murdering is like a normalcy kind of thing, even though you're a mass murderer, even but like you're a good guy, but you're only a mass murderer kind of thing.
I mean, I guess it's similar to the original Nier as well in that sense.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of like yeah, that's been that guy's like MO basically since the first game.
Yeah, that was gonna be my other example as well. Was the first Nier game. Like basically just anything that is trying to make you feel morally responsible for the like horrible shit that you're doing, right? So
Yeah. I don't think this game has you more as like an observer than a controller though, with like the whole puppeteer thing. So I think
yeah.
this game is definitely like super unique over everything in that regard.
Yeah, so like my answer to this was like I felt like the game makes a business out of constantly calling attention to like your role as the player, but it's not again in that like super annoying fourth wally gratuitous manipulative kind of way. It's just like it takes that like fourth wall power fantasy and turns it inside out and then like looks at you like you guys know that meme with like the people at the party and it looks like some guy just like shit his pants and everyone at the party's like looking at him like what the fuck, like that's how it feels to be the player in this game. It's like the game is constantly asking like what the fuck, why are you still here? Go away. Like
Hmm.
you feel like you're like this accepted but totally unwanted like voyeur. And yeah, it's interesting in the way that it just reassigns like the god role. Like in these meta games like I don't know, like Black and White I guess is a very like literal example for anyone who remembers that fucking game. Like you're framed as the deity pulling the strings, but here like that position belongs to Charles and we're just kind of here, we're just like fucking intruders, we're not the omnipotent gods pulling the strings, we're just a fucking nuisance that's kind of in the way. um so yeah, like I think it definitely separates itself from Undertale, from Last of Us, from Nier in that way where um again, you're not being made to feel morally responsible. You're just made to feel like you're fucking annoying and that they don't want you there. So it's like obviously the choice in this game is mostly ornamental, right? Like there's really no choice. So it's like you're complicit not because you could change anything, but because you keep watching even when the game and the characters don't want you to, which I think is a cool twist.
Yeah.
And I think it's like you're definitely right about like them not wanting you to watch them or whatever. But then that's also kind of inverted at the start because like Charlotte is uh, like social media advertising the torture of these people, so it kind of plays with both.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. And Ben said to skip him because he misunderstood the
Yeah,
question.
I did.
All right, we'll let you start the second question then. So, how did you interpret Charles by the end as a creator, a victim, a manipulator, or something else entirely? Where'd you land, Ben?
I was very, I guess, sympathetic towards him. Like the way that I saw him by the end of the game is that to me he was kind of like the painters in Expedition 33, if that makes sense. Or I guess he's kind of a mix of all those things, creator, victim, and manipulator. Although, like if I were to like rank them proportionally, I guess victim would be the most that he was in comparison to the other two. Um, and I just really liked the dynamic with him and Scarlet, and that kind of like colors a lot of how I feel about it because I like Scarlet a lot, and I just looked up what the happy ending was, and I wish I chose it. But regardless, I'm just going to talk about the ending that I did get, which is the true ending, and So in the last 2 episodes when we talked about this game, I kind of talked about how maybe like I'm I'm not like socially adjusted enough to like feel anything from these games at all. But this game had one moment where I actually felt something like genuine, and that is in the route to the true ending when right before Charlotte breaks the TV. Yeah, so this one where when Charlotte is talking to Scarlet slash first Charlotte in the TV right before she breaks it, she explains kind of like Charles's motivations, and Charles like felt so bad about Scarlet that when he created Scarlet in the world, um, he made it so that everyone was nicer, all the NPCs were nicer because he just wanted her to have like the best life possible. And yeah, that's I know that's not directly related to this question, but it's like the part that makes me sympathize with these characters the most. I know that we were talking about Charles only here, but I can't like really separate the two because I feel like their fates are so intertwined.
Well, yeah. I mean, Charlotte is basically Charles' like subconscious on some level, most likely, right? So,
Yeah.
like, he's basically a fucking AO3 fanfic writer who did become Verso. All right, Jordan, what do you got?
Uh, yeah, so I mean, I think he's like all of the above except something else entirely. So for me, yeah, like he's a creator who is a victim of abusive circumstance, right? And then he uses manipulation of reality as a coping mechanism. So yeah, I think he's kind of like all of the above.
All right, Seth, what you got?
I feel like I don't have a super solid answer either. And part of that is just because I like Thomas. I haven't had a ton of time to like sit and stew and like understand him as a character because I think he's probably one of the more complex characters. But I did some wiki research and I just saw under the trivia that his favorite philosopher is Nietzsche, and I thought that was really interesting because he is literally a creator, right? But he somehow feels both more than that and less than that, but that is what he is. So he's this like, he created the world, but he's so like detached, but also tied to it at the same time. It's a lot of there are a lot of paradoxes with him that I think are really interesting that I don't have solid answers to. But like to give a firm answer, I mean he is the creator. Again, I don't. Uh, and like there are other aspects to his character, but like if I just had to give one answer, it would be creator.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in kind of the same boat as Seth, where I could have a much better answer to this if I had another 24 hours to think about it. But I mean, to me, he just feels like a traumatized, stunted kid who like constructed this entire world as a coping mechanism and then just never found a way out, like literally or emotionally. So, um, the whole setting of this entire game, and like one thing that would be interesting for me to go back and replay them would be that the setting of these games just feel like the fucking echo of a life that ended too early. Like you are watching someone's fucking suicide note spiral out into an infinite universe is just like how this entire world feels to me, like looking at it. So, like when I look at it now, I just think of him as just someone totally trapped in their own like trauma and imagination, like combined and mixed together in a blender. And he's someone who lashes out in small ways, but he's mostly just a fucking human being who's stuck as shit. And I think some of that too is I think this game does a good job of well, a good job is a weird way to phrase it, but I think one interesting thing that this game does is judge you as the player. And so I think that Charles's character makes the game's judgment of us land somewhat harder because we're like made to feel like we are just wandering through the aftermath of someone's fucking tragedy. So I'm I'm wont to call him really anything other than a victim, even though he is absolutely a creator. But at some point, he definitely took a wrong fucking turn and developed a little bit of villainy.
I do just want to say, without ascribing too much to Etherain herself, I got a strong feeling that Charles was Etherain's like self-insert, like
Oh yeah,
almost literally at times. And all I want to say about that is, I hope Etherain had some friends that played this game and reached out to her to see if she was doing okay. That's
Did you
all I felt.
did you read the dev wall
yeah,
thing?
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
That
the afterward.
basically that the afterward basically just confirms that.
That
Oh,
she's okay.
that's good.
Yeah.
Well, it confirms that Charles is her self-insert too, because she said that she wrote this game for somebody who never got a chance to exist, I think is how it's
Right.
worded.
hmm
Yeah, exactly.
Do not need to guess. I have that screenshot.
That's sweet. I like that.
Yeah, it's fun to wonder about that too, like contextually. But yeah, Charles is a very, very interesting character. Like, interesting both in the moments where he was alive and in the fucking hellscape that he produced after he died.
God is dead, as a certain Nietzsche once say.
Oh yeah, this game is nothing but Nietzsche and Kurt Vonnegut references, like fucking everywhere you turn. Etherain definitely fucking loves Vonnegut, and Etherain, I love you for that because Vonnegut's one of my favorite authors.
All right, ready for the next one?
Yeah,
Yep.
this will be a fun one. Do you have something, Ben?
Oh no, I said yep, as in let's move
Oh,
on
okay.
to the quality of life discussion.
Yeah, so I figured I would give you guys a free reign chance to just like rip into this shit, and then I'm gonna bother writing up my final rating paragraph while you guys dump all over this fucking thing. So, what do you consider to be the minimum quality of life or accessibility bar for a video game? I'm gonna start with Jordan. I think that man has a lot to say.
I mean, I feel like we've kind of already said it, like especially in the first two episodes. But yeah, I mean, like to not even have an options menu in a game is insane. Like to not even have like options and then I could turn subtitles on and off or something. Like for it to not even be there is like unthinkably bad. Like if we weren't doing it for this, I wouldn't not even gotten close to in the first game from not being able to resize the window and
Oh yeah, that's an
probably
uninstall.
primarily that.
That's an
Yeah.
uninstall for me.
Yeah, that's a Ben uninstall right there.
I more in this question think of like what quality of life does this game provide, and besides a sprint button, it's like almost nothing.
I wouldn't even call that quality of life because it turns out to be a fucking detriment.
Yeah, like yeah, I tried to like think of like what's an interesting way to answer this question. It's like, okay, what quality of life does the game give you? And it's like, I guess fast travel in the Omnicube, even though it's done really annoyingly. Like, I don't know. There's nothing that's like, oh, that's great.
I will say being able to like skip to the end of text is quality of life. At least that's an important one for this game. But I mean,
Yeah.
like for my answer, like if we're talking absolute minimum quality of life, it's kind of a boring answer for this part. But I mean, it's the standards. I need volume control. I need resolution control. Brightness and darkness isn't like required, but if I'm playing a game late at night and I have the lights off, yeah, I kind of need brightness control. Um, I feel like those are really required for your game unless you're doing it for like a very particular reason, like you're gonna mess with meta shit, like I think Undertale and Void Stranger did, like closing out of your game and shit like that. Like if you at least have a purpose for not having some of that stuff, fine, but it's still gonna bother me. But something I did want to talk about, just since it's tangentially related to the question, is like, yeah, that's the minimum for quality of life, is just like the essentials to play the game, right? But like, what is the ideal quality of life accessibility stuff for games? And so my ideal game for stuff like that is World of Warcraft, because I'm a World of Warcraft guy. And granted, a lot of it is because of the abundance of add-ons. But add-ons in World of Warcraft allow for everything that the game wouldn't allow UX wise. It's so good that after like 20 years of not having it, Blizzard is finally adding in options to like manipulate your UI in stronger ways and like in-game boss mods and shit like that. But like sometimes when I'm playing other games, like especially ARPGs, I find myself wishing that they had stuff like weak auras. In other words, like if you're playing Diablo 3, or, I mean any ARPG, I'm sure like you guys play Path of Exile and there's like a buff or something that you want to track that's important. Like in Diablo 3, it's always going to be at the very bottom of your screen right next to all of your skills, but like that's not where you want to be looking in fast-paced ARPGs. You want to be looking at where your character is so you're not standing in shit. And so I want to be able to move all of those icons and buffs and shit right next to where it's important by my character. And so few games allow for that, and I wish more games did. And that's my extrapolation of this question.
I just could you imagine having add-ons for something like Hello Charlotte?
But I mean, like even like kind of relating that to Hello Charlotte, like allow me to like expand or minimize the size of the menus. You know, like the pause menu.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like small stuff, but I feel like it's or like the text box. Like there's no text uh, expansion or whatever. There's no text size option. Just more customizability. Good.
I think it's not impossible for a game like Hello Charlotte to get a fan remaster because I want to be the guy has one because of how piece of shit the old game was. So I think if we give it 10 years and people like it enough, at least the first two that don't cost money, I could see that happening.
That'd be cool.
There would definitely need to be an engine change for this game or series to have any kind of like acceptable quality of life. Because RPG Maker VX Ace, that ain't it. I'm
I'm telling
sorry.
you, it's not the engine's fault.
It-
It's like it's a bad engine, but you can resize the fucking window in the engine. That's not the engine's
Are you
fault.
sure? I don't actually know enough about
Yes.
VX Ace.
Dude, one shot does great. Well, VX Ace, I think, is one shots. I would have to go back and check. I'm not sure. But I can tell you one shot is a version of RPG Maker, and it does crazy shit that I still haven't seen other games do. Like any game.
Okay, you're right. AI overview says yes, you can resize the game window in RPG
Yeah.
Maker VX Ace. Oh wait, no, never mind. I lied. But it requires a bit of work, often involving a script, as there's a default resolution limit of it's 480p essentially.
But
You have to bind Alt Enter. So no, you basically. I mean, you can resize the window, but it's not. I don't think it's. AI overview misunderstood what we wanted.
well, I can say Lisa's older than this game, so there's no way it's on a newer version of RPG Maker, and Lisa did not have problems that this game has.
Okay, so Lisa, the Painful and Joyful were made in VX Ace. The first was
Yes.
made in 2003, which is the only version I've ever used
The
personally.
first doesn't count. The first is crazy. You might not have been able to resize the window in that game.
I didn't know Lisa was that old. Holy moly!
Yeah, Lisa the first is old as fuck. It feels like the first game of this, which is funny that there's a 14-year separation.
Well, the thing about RPG Maker 2003 specifically is like a lot of games were using it after 2003 because it's actually visually quite different from all the other RPG makers.
Yeah.
Uh, it's much more like thick pixel, if that makes sense. It's like it's unique among all the RPG makers. Like if I saw a game, I could tell if it's using 2003 or not.
Right. Yeah, I just don't want to give this game a pass thinking that the year 2015 or whatever the fuck when the first one came out is some prehistory fucking pre-internet thing where you couldn't just go on Stack Overflow and be like, yo, can someone help me?
Yeah, and the alt enter thing is so it's like I know that everyone could just use a keyboard, but I I had to choose not to play this game in the massage chair because like I did for episode 2 and I had to like bind buttons for alt and enter so that every time I opened the game I had to like press them both at the same time. It was so fucking annoying.
I'm sorry, but just the way you describe it
Oh.
as the massage chair is so
Yeah.
funny to me every time.
I love the thing, even though I think the reason why I love it is because I didn't buy it. It's just there for me to enjoy.
That's funny. I think to answer the question in another way that I forgot was rebindable controls, because
Oh,
that's mandatory.
yeah, I forgot to
This
include that in my answer. If I'm playing on a controller, remapping is required. Like I have to have that, otherwise I'm gonna get mad.
this game has it, but it's like fucking the way that Toho does it, and that it's like you set key 1 to X, and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? So it's basically doesn't have it. I don't even know if Ben knows that it has it.
No, I did. Is it in the
You have
game
to
or is it like a
right-click-
text file?
You right click the border of the window and then go like controls,
What?
and then it opens up
What
literally
the
like the
fuck?
Toho fucking.
What?
It opens up like a Toho old school like Toho key configurator.
Did you
basically.
figure out how
It's
to
fucked
open
up.
the fucking dev room? Is that's what it sounded like you were describing?
No, I found it when I was trying to resize the window, because I right clicked on the window border to try to do maximize, and I was like, what the hell?
Oh my god!
Sweet Jesus.
Did you want to answer the question, Thomas?
I don't really have anything to add other than like my own personal tastes is that if I find something intriguing enough or I care about something enough, my tolerance for annoying bullshit like this game stretches out into infinity. I am the most patient man in the universe. So I understand where you guys are coming from. I understand the depth that this game sinks to in its accessibility options. But at the same time, every time I play this game, I just launch it, I press Alt Enter, and I had arrow keys and Z and Shift, and I didn't need anything more than that. But again, I'm a very patient man, so I am not patient when I don't give a shit, though. I will say that. Like if it's like a double A or triple A game, like 3 strikes, you're fucking out, and those strikes can come very arbitrarily.
3?
You and Ben. I was gonna say, maybe 3. That's funny.
Oh shit! All right, well let's go. Let's rank these bad boys. 1, 2, and 3. Rank them.
3,
3, 1, 2.
3, 1, 2.
3, 1,
Wait.
2.
So, dang. What were you? What were you,
Wait,
Jordan?
What does that say? 3, 1, 2.
Yeah, Ben. You
Or 3, 2, 1. Sorry, 3, 2, 1. Mine's a countdown.
Oh,
okay?
What?
Yeah, mine was
my
3,
brain's
1,
broken.
Yeah,
2.
y'all
What does that say?
motherfuckers talk too much. Seth,
3, 1, 2.
Jordan.
Okay, so I'm the only countdown. I'm 3, 2, 1.
All right, I'm 3, 1, 2 as well. And Ben, you were 3, 1, 2 as well, right? Yeah, 3, 1.
I just had to go based.
Fucking 3, 1, 2 goats.
I just had to go based on the rankings, and yeah, I remember how bad the first game's fucking gameplay is, and that's 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, because I rated 1 the lowest, but in retrospect,
Yeah.
I think I like it more
I
than
listen. Even if the puzzles and everything else about episode 1 gameplay wise are shit, at least it doesn't have the fucking combat.
Yeah, the combat would
I
have
don't
been.
think that's as much of a sin.
The combat would have been cool if it happened exactly once, I think. As just kind of like a
Yeah.
funny, like, little, like, intermezzo meme.
A
That would've
one
also been
combat
cool.
thing where it's like the principal comes into the classroom and that starts the combat instead of fucking random encounters. Why?
Yeah, for sure.
It also would have been a lot cooler in 2017.
Well, didn't this game come out in 2017?
That's what I mean.
Okay, yeah.
If we played it in 2017, it would have been a lot cooler.
Yeah. For me, I felt like I like the abstract think piece bullshit of the first game a lot more than you guys, I think. So I sort of figured I would rate that game a lot higher than you guys would. Like 1 is actually closer to 3 for me than you might think. I actually really liked 1.
Yeah, I mean, I like to me, episode 1 in hindsight was a really good introduction to the weird ass world that this shit is. Like, even if a lot of it and even if a lot of the lore I feel like in episode 1 doesn't get super expanded on, like how often did we hear the word Pythian after episode 1? I
Yeah,
feel like it still
bummer.
sets the tone and the weirdness vibes right.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I said, I think a really good aspect of how these games were written was like that slow zoom out of the scope of the world, and I think the first game plays into that like very importantly.
And then with episode 2, like it's literally just white noise to me. I didn't care about the characters and the narrative. Found the gameplay grating and annoying. Uh, like honestly, like 1 and 2 were pretty close to me, but number 1, I give episode 1 props because it's the first game. Like it's not, like I said, it's setting the tone. It's starting the game off. A sequel to that, episode 2, should be an upgrade compared to episode 1, but it didn't do anything to stand out from the other 2 episodes. I feel there's nothing in episode 2 that is better, or that is the best from the other there is nothing in episode 2 that is the best among the 3 episodes. There we go.
so the thing about episode 1 is you guys like the idea of episode 1 more than what episode 2 is. Episode 1 sucks to play, but the further you get away from it time wise, the more you
Yeah,
the more you fixate on the idea of episode 1 rather than the experience that you had playing episode 1.
I mean I played through episode 1 twice, so I remember it pretty well.
Tom was standing. I know you're obviously going to like 1 more than 2 for sure. I think for the other 2 of us. uh,
No, for sure. Because I actually remember like when we did the tash for episode 1. I remember when we got to the gameplay section, which is the first section. I spoke first, and these are the exact words I said. I intensely disliked playing this
But
game.
I think that's the thing with the first game. Like the first game has a lot of cool ideas and everything, but like the execution of it as a whole, if you have to play it, fucking sucks.
Yeah,
But
and I mean
yeah, it's a great idea.
I think I did actually like detract or subtract points from episode 2 because I still did have that like um I'm kind of rating episode 1 almost on like an axis of
Yeah,
potential, which
right.
is not how you should do it, but it's how I did it. So fuck off.
Yeah,
And
I mean that's fair.
yeah, when 2 did not live up to that, it was definitely like kind of a boner killer.
Yeah,
Yeah, like again, to me, it's episode 1 was setting the tone. Episode 2, I felt like was trying to expand the characters, and it just, if that was the goal of episode 2, I just feel like it completely failed in actually getting me interested in it because I just did not care at all.
I feel like 2 is more about setting like the themes, like setting like episode how do I describe this? Episode 1 is like walking into your grandma's house and it smells like farts everywhere and there's a bunch of weird shit, but it's your grandma and she has cool pictures on the wall. Episode 2 is your grandma setting like the silverware down on the table while you sit down and get ready to eat, and then 3 is eating.
yeah. That's why I said episode 2 is like a bridge.
Oh, I disagree that 2 doesn't do anything the best because I've already said it, I feel like 2 had the best art. Like it had the best instances of art, I guess would be a better way to say it. Yeah, I think 3 1 2 for me like makes the most
Yeah.
amount of sense.
I just wanted to remind everyone else how much 1 was a stinker.
Yeah, that game's god awful to play.
I will call back my scores. My ordering here is consistent with my scores. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
I think mine will be as well. I think. I don't remember. I honestly I don't remember what I rated the first game. 6? That sounds right.
6.
Yeah, I'd stick by that too. I stick by that 6. I don't remember what I rated 2, but it feels like a 4.
4.5.
I stand by that too. I'm consistent. All right. You guys got anything else you want to say about the other games before we?
All right. Are we just jumping down to awards? Did you have some in mind?
I didn't have any awards in mind. I skipped over the awards this time and wrote an
Yeah.
outline instead.
That's fair. I feel like like the only one I could think of is like best art panel, but there's so many that I literally don't want to choose.
Yeah. I feel like best awards just kind of gets wrapped up in the overall discussion, so it's kind of pointless in some instances
It just
anyway.
depends. I also think that since this is the third time we're doing Hello Charlotte, it would just be the same fucking awards with the same fucking ideas. So
Yeah.
I think it's definitely pointless in this context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Co-sign.
I'm cool just going down to ratings.
All right. Who wants to start?
I can start. I thought this game was a little bit better than the second one, but I still wasn't in love because I thought there was still just a lot of like gameplay issues with it. And I think while the narrative was like good and like cohesive, it wasn't really like I still think it wasn't really like enough time for it to really like bake to be into something that I think would be like an all-time great. So for me it's a 4.
Oh, I think
Ooh.
hell yeah.
Ooh, I nailed it.
Damn, I lost.
Ooh, I'm so good.
Ooh.
All right, Ben, you're up next.
You guys aren't ready.
Nailed it, nailed it,
8.5.
nailed it, nailed it, nailed
Oh,
it.
I like
man.
this
Not
I
game a
8.5,
wonder how
lot.
but I was
close I
close.
was. Wonder how close. Oh,
you count it.
man.
You're right.
That's fucking dope. I
That's crazy.
actually had, you know what's fucked up?
Fuck.
I had a higher guess, and then I had to fucking troubleshoot the bot, and then I was like, I'm gonna lower my guess. I think it was 7.5 though, so it doesn't even matter, but
God damn
you,
it. It's whose lines anyway again.
you got anything else to add other than your rating?
No, that's about it. In fact, if you look at my notes, that's all I wrote. I just wrote
I think that's
8.5 out of
great.
10.
All right, you want me to go or you want to go, Seth?
That's not
Go
true.
ahead.
I do have something to add. Going off of my previous ratings and also going back to Logic Bombs, where I gave that
God
game a
damn it.
6 for the craftsmanship. I gave Ethrain the craftsmanship points for this.
You
For
gave
episode
back
Fucking
what he
logic
lost.
bombs poisoned in a fucking well.
Oh shit, that's funny. All right, Seth, you want me to go or do you want to go? I don't care.
Mine'll probably be short, so I'll just knock it out real quick. Yeah, like I said, I mean, this was my favorite of the three. It did a lot of return to form, I felt, from some of the stuff that I liked in episode one. I felt like this episode was the closest to a visual novel out of all three of them, at least in the first third and, like, I guess, back third. Midpoint was kind of a drag. You know, I still can't call this a good game because the actual gameplay parts were still there. They were just less grating to play, but there was nothing I could really think of in this game that like brought it down below average for me, and then the stuff that I did like brought it above just a straight 5. But it's still not a great game. It's just good art, good narrative, and just generally fine. So I think that 6 out of 10 is a fair rating.
Damn.
But it's like a strong 6. Like, I'm happy with that 6. It's almost a 6.5, but it's a 6.
Ben nailed it.
Ben did nail it.
Me and
Yep.
Tom were of the same mind, which is funny.
Yeah,
Ben and I are
Seth
locked in.
fucking he hated the first two so much. I did not think that trend would buck.
Yeah, no, to me,
Six.
like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel a little bit like Keith in terms of like what really bothers me about some indie games where if it just has no polish, sometimes it's just going to grate on me in ways that are hard to describe. But like I said, I feel like this game just moved away from all of that and just added the stuff that I liked. So
Well,
Right.
can't argue with that. Well, for me, episode 3 felt like the point where the game finally kind of revealed what it had been building towards. So, like, the first two games, in my opinion, were these really like interesting sketches, where the first one is like really raw and scattershot and like discombobulated. The second game felt pretty ambitious, but it was so uneven all over the place. The third game like clicked the pieces together into something that like finally really worked. Uh, I mean, the core gameplay mechanics of this game slash these games never deviate from being like clunky and shitty. Um, but I felt like in this game, it really embraced its identity as clunky and shitty in a lot of ways, and that kind of made it a little more endearing. And the gameplay became more like a frame for the mood and the meaning with what it was having you doing. The art direction and the sound design of this game just pull double duty. They lace every hallway and dreamscape with these fucking unease and melancholy, and the music is better than both of the other games put together and multiplied by like three. So obviously, this game is as far away from flawless as something could possibly be. A lot of the puzzles still meander, still kind of stinky. The story can kind of sprawl into some like abstraction territory that's not going to work for everybody, but episode 3, in my estimation, makes the journey worthwhile. It's I thought it was a pretty striking finish, and it transforms the trilogy into me. What started as kind of just a experimental curiosity into something that was a singular, memorable work of indie game art. I want to close by saying that guerrilla art like this shit is what I fucking live for. Because to me, the most important thing in any piece of work, artistically, is that it comes off as authentic and real to its creator. I want to feel every single emotion that the author felt as they were penning it, coding it, drawing it, painting it, whatever. I want to feel that anger, that pain, that hurt, and that want to feel it in a way that makes it feel genuine and unique to the person behind the curtain. And uh, these games do a very, very good job of it. In fact, that is what these games do well. Is it feels like you are connecting with a human being behind that curtain. So, while these games again are extremely flawed, this game and these games in general are going to linger in my head for much, much longer than many games that I have and will rate significantly higher. So, bravo, Etherain. Seriously, you put together something really fucking special. And I'm rated 7.5 out of 10.
There is something I want to bring up after you said that when you were talking about how you felt like you were communicating with Ethering directly. I've actually felt the same way for all 3 episodes, and that's why, like, I know we had the discussion where, like, we were trying to like stray away from like referencing her or like sound like we're talking to her
Mm-hmm.
directly, but I felt like it was really hard to do that because of that aspect of it where, like, it felt like you should be talking
Yeah,
directly
like
to
for
her
sure,
when talking
especially like
about
with the
this
narrative. I
game.
think it was more just in like the gameplay stuff. Like we didn't want to frame it as like, oh, why'd she do this? Why'd she do that? But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this game is obviously like a very personal journey. So I think thinking of it as anything other than like Etherain's treatise on her life is very mistaken. Because like, there's a reason why in the second game I was holding so much water for her ability to write, because that feeling of like there is a person behind these words, like there is a human being who is saying these words, and I can sympathize with them and I understand what they're going through. That's not an easy thing to do in a medium like this, where it's just these like dinky ass fucking RPG maker sprites, and she does such a fucking good job with like really making you feel the weight of what she's trying to say. So, hence, bravo.
Hell yeah. Do you guys have any closing thoughts before we get Craig out of here?
What are we doing next week? We finish up Baldur's Gate.
Yeah. Yeah, next week we are
Yes, sir.
finishing the behemoth of Baldur's Gate 3. After that, maybe Silk Song. We might need to add some time for Silk Song, but we'll see. That is the plan.
Beast.